Would you like to discover powerful ways to drive change in your organization? Would you like to learn about the latest concepts in people strategy, HR effectiveness, and optimization that will help your organization achieve a competitive advantage in your industry? Then HRBP MBA Masterclass with Ron Thomas is for you. With today's uncertain business landscape, HR leaders now play a pivotal role in what some say is a paradigm shift in the industry. This comprehensive 3-day program, in-person or virtual, will empower you to embrace a more strategic mindset, enhance your decision-making skills, and help your organization to the next level. To register as a group or individual, email us at info@strategyfocusgroup.com or visit our website at www.strategyfocusgroup.com.
Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. As you know, if it's Friday, it's a CEO series where we bring together the global executives, entrepreneurs, innovators, disruptors, amazing careers, and we have a great fireside chat discussion. Our guest today is a good friend of mine, Mr. Tauseef Farooqi, who is the chairman of NEPRA. NEPRA is National Electric Power Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. He has an extensive background. He launched Pakistan's wholesale power market called Competitive Trading Bilateral Market. Started various drives focusing on safety, IT, OT, and inclusive social development. He has over 30 years experience in techno-commercial experience, specializing in managing commercial business side of IPP and WPP projects. His background, electrical engineer, University of Engineering and Technology in Lahore, an MBA from Lahore University School of Management and Science, and a graduate of the Executive Program of Management at Columbia Business School, which my brother went to school with. He's a regular presenter at the Power and Water Summits internationally, and he's a very good friend of mine. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you very much for having me today.
I'm so
Always pleasure talking to you.
Always. It was a couple of months back. You had me over to your offices. I spoke to your executive team, and it was a great honor for me to be there. And I'm just kind of paying you back because I want you to talk about your career and how do you go from an electrical engineering graduate to coming back to your country as the chairman. Walk us through that journey.
Yeah. Before I do that, I would like to thank you for honoring me that today I'm seeing you in our national dress, which is shalwar kameez and a wasket as well. When you came and gave a wonderful talk to my fellows in NEPRA, then we decided we wanted to give you a gift that we would like to see you in, and that was nothing could be better than shalwar kameez. So I'm very honored and humbled to see you wearing a shalwar kameez, our national dress, and a wasket today. So thank you for that. My journey starts from an electrical engineer, and soon after that, my first job was selling wax computers, which was a product of Digital Equipment Corporation, the second largest IT company at that time after IBM. For 1 year, almost 1 year, I sold those computers almost door to door. And so that gave me a fantastic opportunity into the psyche of customers or consumers. I mean, that 1 year experience is totally unmatched. Because we think technology is difficult, not at all. Human beings are the most complex piece of engineering of God. And that's what I realized at that time. Yeah. Soon after that, Water and Power Development Authority of Pakistan, which used to be a vertically integrated only utility in Pakistan other than Karachi, which KESC, which used to control Karachi, our biggest city. And it's very surprising that most of the people don't know that KE has been in operation since 1918. So it's there from over 100 years now as an independent, vertically integrated organization to manage Karachi, long before we got even independence. So, but the entire water and power development was done through WAPDA. So I applied there as an engineer, and I got seventh number out of 300 engineers they were supposed to induct. So my father was a government officer. He pushed me to join that, and but 3 years after working as a hardcore engineer, I realized it was much easier for me to develop my relationship with the human beings based on my sales experience of 1 year than with machines. So I thought I worked in WAPDA and the hardcore technical side, and then I moved to the commercial side, contracts management and procurement and inspection and all that. So then I decided to take 2 years study leave because that was an option available to engineers. And I did my MBA from Lahore University of Management Sciences, which is a top business school in Pakistan. And after that, I've got a very unique experience. I worked in WAPDA as on the finance side. They promoted me, gave me a promotion, which my other colleagues who were inducted with me and they stayed in WAPDA got after 15 years. But based on my MBA, they moved me to finance. So it's a very unique experience at a very onset of my career that I got engineering experience, commercial experience, and pure finance experience actually. And then I decided to move on to a job which requires both my engineering as well as management and business skills. So I joined Kotadu Power Company, which was the first privatized power plant by the government of Pakistan. And I tell you one thing, in this part of the world, we were quite ahead of time. It was back in 1994-95 that we privatized one of the biggest plants of Pakistan to National Power of UK, which later on became Suez NG, and then Suez, no, so first Suez and then NG. So I worked with the British in Pakistan. There used to be 16 British managers, and I used to be a Pakistani manager among them. And then I moved on to join first IWPP project in Abu Dhabi, and that's where we developed first. And then the third IWPP project, I used to work for an American company called Consumers Energy or CMS Energy. It's a Michigan-based company which took or won the very first contract in Abu Dhabi. So what I tried was I tried to uh, diversify my experience using engineering as the hub or cornerstone and building the management bit or the business bit on that. So I was involved in the business development, project management, contracts management, negotiations, and so on and so forth. Then I joined Marubeni of Japan. We took over two existing plants of government of Abu Dhabi, and then we doubled the capacity of the plant, making it the single largest power and water plant in Abu Dhabi. And it was probably the largest plant in the region at that time, having both power and water production. So that experience staying in Abu Dhabi for 20 years gave me a wonderful experience because I was also lucky in a sense that when I went to Abu Dhabi, there was no regulator there. So we were in a way self-regulating ourselves, and we helped develop the regulator there. Regulator was developed much after I developed those two projects. So I got a fairly good idea how the regulatory processes work because I was sort of instrumental in developing them. So when this project, this position was advertised in Khalij Times and Gulf News, I applied for that, and I was right because I had technical experience, I had commercial experience, and by virtue of working with international shareholders, contractors, developers, consultants, I used to have a little, the legal experience as well. So for regulatory position like Chairman NEPRA, which is primarily responsible for the entire power industry of Pakistan, and we have more than 100 power plants in Pakistan, and it entails generation, transmission, and distribution business as well. So this is my journey. I never thought of becoming a chairman NEPRA, but I kept improving my skill
Yeah.
set, my experience, so that I was ready to take up. I was hungry and I was ready to take up this challenge.
So I got a couple of key points as you talk through that journey, and I think that's a good signal for people that are starting out or midway their careers. So you had the technical knowledge, but you built the further on that foundation around relationships and understanding the business. So you were a business person, you were an engineer, and you had good people skills. Would that be a pretty good estimation of how that worked?
That's the key actually. Engineers don't realize that when they go beyond a certain level, they have to sell their ideas. Nobody buys ideas without getting them sold. So
Mm,
you have to have the business skills to be able to. You have to have presentation skills, negotiation skills, interpersonal skills, person to
yeah,
person skills. So that is a must. So that's what I say. I always say. I mean, one more aspect is when I did my MBA, I wanted to be different from my engineering friends. But
yeah,
when I did my MBA, I had 23 engineers who did MBA with me in my class of 83. All 22, they quit their engineering and they joined finance, pure finance, banks, marketing, blah, blah, blah. But at that time, I realized that over my engineering friends, it's my MBA which is the distinguishing factor. But
mm,
on my MBA friends, it is my engineering, is my engineering on my MBA friends. So the point is, you have to diversify yourself. You have to be different and
yeah.
be ready to take up bigger challenges.
Mhm. Yeah, diversify that skill set. As you were talking through that, there's a very famous case study. It's a little old now, but it's called Project Oxygen. And that was done through Google, and their major job family is engineers. And they were trying to figure out what makes a great leader, what makes a great manager, those kind of things. And it came back to the same thing that you talked about. So you can always hire for the technical skills, but the technical skills, you leave on a Friday and come back on a Monday, and you're managing a team of engineers. That's a different skill set, and they
Absolutely.
realized they were going to have to spend more, develop more along the people side, relationships, and all those kinds of things, and create a more well-rounded engineer versus just a technical hotshot, and that's all they focus on.
Right. In many countries, they offer military training as mandatory for their youngsters. I preach that in addition to that kind of discipline which you learn in forces, in army or whatever, you must give training of sales to every single student, because at one point in time or the other, every technical manager has to sell something, you know. So it is a must, it is incumbent upon the
Yeah.
leadership to make sure that their engineers, their technical, their techies, they are well equipped with the business tools as well.
Mm. I was laughing when you told that story because my first job, well, my second job out of college was with IBM in sales. And I often say that was the best training I could have ever had because it gives you the ability to deal with rejection. It gives you the ability when someone says no, how do you counter that? And those skills you learn, and again, talking about the relationship skills, but those sales skills is something that you will carry with you the rest of your career until you say it's over with because it gives you that ability to think on your feet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you very rightly said, prepare you to take failures in your life,
Hmm.
because the success doesn't teach you as much as the failure does. Because when you become successful, you start taking things for granted. You stop putting more effort. But it is only failure which ensures that you put more efforts and sail out of it.
I'm working with a group which starts right after this session out of Europe and Canada, and that was one of the things someone brought up the other night in our session. They said that success is not a great teacher, but failure is.
Failure is. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I fully
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. So these are the kind of things that we look for, in having these conversations because a lot of people that listen to the show, I mean, it's named the CEO series, but it's a lot of people at mid career, a lot of people just starting out. and trying to get a hand on how do you navigate this? How do you navigate the world of work, today? And as you said earlier, when you started out, your career was not based on how do I become the CEO, but you went through that journey, and eventually, with what you built, gave you exposure to that opportunity.
One thing I read long time back, not failure, but low aim is a crime. So I
Hmm.
never committed this crime in my life, that I never had low aims in my life.
Okay.
I always thought I'm the best,
Hmm.
but I kept on improving myself. I ensured, Ron, my today is better than my yesterday, and my tomorrow is better than my today.
Hmm.
I kept working on that. I went to Columbia Business School 21 years after doing my MBA.
Oh wow.
It is not easy to go back to a classroom with a very, very comparative group. I mean, I had 37 cohorts with me, 36
Yeah.
other than me, and they were all top notch guys from all the top companies in the world.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, uh, there were 17 Indian guys, and those guys were all top shots from Apple, Google. There are so many Indian firms,
Yeah.
top notch. And I
Strong.
was really, really concerned how would I compete with
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
that's when you gauge yourself. So I always try to come out of my comfort zone and put myself. I mean, I was a very highly paid Pakistani in the power sector of Abu Dhabi. I mean, I could have, compared to what I'm getting now, I was minting money, compared to my current
Yeah.
package.
Yeah.
But, and I have put myself, in a way of hugely out of my comfort zone by coming and taking up this huge challenge in
Mm.
Pakistan. But
Mm.
that's what is giving me fun. I mean,
Yeah.
so much fun that in last 3.5 years, I didn't take a day off, and I have not bunked my office for even an hour, because I'm, as Steve Jobs once said, if you make your passion your profession, you will
Yeah.
never feel you are working even for one day in your life. That's
Mm.
precisely what happened to me as chairman NEPRA, because we have more than 300 licensees. We are responsible for generation, transmission, distribution, as well as the innovation part of this sector. So it's
Mm.
keeping me busy and with lots
I,
of fun.
I can only imagine. Yeah, as a leader of thousands of employees, and I thank you because you had me there to speak to your leadership team, which was an honor. How do you continue to grow personally? I mean, with what you've gone through, and you've talked about how you have gone through, you built the foundation, you built upon that, and one step led to another. Now you're at the top, the so-called top of the pyramid. How do you continue to grow as a leader? What does it
It's
take?
a very, yeah, very interesting question, Ron. And honestly speaking, I was once listening to, there is a chap called Guru Sun in India, Guru Sun, and he said something very interesting. Whenever you go to any learning place, learning event, or learning opportunity, take your mind totally free there, because if a cup is already full, you can't pour more tea into that. So for you to pour tea in a cup, it has to be empty. So what I
Okay.
do is I try to empty my mind by playing golf every single day without a fail. I try to use any opportunity whereby all the pressure, it's the most highly pressure job in the world probably, I try to release it. And then how I improve myself, how I keep inflating my balloon is by going to events. I make sure I go to at least 2, 3 events every month, ideally once a week, where I meet people, greet people, and take their very tough questions. And I
Mm.
never ever duck any question. If I don't know the answer, I'll take down their email addresses or phone numbers. I'll respond to them later. I'm not, I have not the whole wisdom in the world, but I never ever duck any question. And they ask me tough questions, and I respond to them on my feet. So that gives me a chance to think on my feet, and that gives me a lot of opportunity to learn new things while responding to them. So if I don't know something and they ask me question, I come back and I try to find the answer and go back to them. So every day, every passing day, I'm getting questions. I'm attending all the possible events like seminars. We host very regular seminars. I meet so many people. My doors are literally open 8 hours a day. I mean, I'm probably the only chairman in Pakistan whose doors are open for everybody 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was there and we were sitting in your office. So I watch things when I go to specifically leaders kind of where they conclave is. And I noticed that people were sticking their head in the doors. They felt comfortable in talking to you. Even the gentleman who brought in the coffee to us as we were sitting at tea, that brought in the tea to us, that they felt at ease coming in there. It wasn't like they were coming into the C-suite. It's like, oh my God, I'm going into the boss's office. And you've created that culture.
Absolutely. When I came here, generally people from different backgrounds, other than professional engineers, technical or techno-commercial engineers, were not there in this position. So they were always having a sort of distance from the employees. But I not only kept my doors open 8 hours just to for the sake of opening the door, but that sent a very positive signal for all my employees and all my investors and all my customers that this man means business.
Yeah.
Opening the door means my heart is open and my mind is open as well. So that
Mm.
worked really wonders for me, actually.
Yeah, it showed. It showed because I was thinking of that as I was leaving Pakistan and flying back, and I thought about that visit and how all of the people that we talked to, all of your workers, and they just felt the comfort around you. And in a lot of cases, I'm not saying all the time, but you see that there's a disconnect between the leader and the worker. And so when you talk about the relationships, as you mentioned earlier, that's key to building that type culture inside of an organization.
Right. And this is not easy because people are not generally used to this kind of culture. Because I was very lucky, I worked with the Brits in Pakistan for 3 years. Then I went to Abu Dhabi. I worked with more than 35 nationalities there. So I that gave me a fantastic opportunity to learn from various nationalities, and I believe uh, is the humility, which is the most the prime thing which I noticed in the most developed nations. As they say in my language, the tree that bears fruit is always bent. It's very flexible, and it always shows humility. But
Mm.
all those trees which don't bear fruit, you will always find them very tall and very isolated and so on and
Yeah.
so forth.
Mm.
So that's why what I try to do is try to mingle with people, and I'm very direct. If I have to talk to somebody for information, 4 steps or 6 steps below me, I don't go through the normal hierarchy. I will just go straight to that person, get my information, get the job done. You know that's why people are they feel elevated because especially as they say, I was reading somewhere that the pay rise you get once in a year, but pat on the back you can get many times in the year. That's precisely what I do.
I saw that post the other day on LinkedIn
Yeah,
about that. You get that raise once a year. That's a one-time kind of fix. But
exactly.
what's the fix for every day? The Sunday night coming into Monday or whatever your work style is. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah. So your leadership style is open, so people feel at ease. Now, sometimes when I interview people, they say, well, I don't want to say interview people, but when I work with a lot of leaders across the globe, and they talk about their leadership style and the way that they connect with people. But as I walk the halls, I don't see that. So I'm thinking it's a figment of their imagination because I walk the halls and people will stand back. Oh my God, they see the leader coming, they turn and go the other way because they don't want to. There's that context. So you mentioned the 6 levels down. If I'm in the 6th level down and I see the CEO coming, do I feel comfortable? Or maybe I turn and go someplace else. But it's not like that at NEPRA.
No, but I tell you honestly, the way I described myself is I am the easiest boss in the world, and I'm the most difficult boss in the world.
Okay.
It all depends how you want me to behave with you.
Yeah.
If you are going to pull a fast one, trying to be over smart with me, then I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Uh, then I'm not going to spare you. If you are
Yeah.
going to cheat me,
Yeah.
if you are not going to put your best effort, then
Yeah.
I'll be extremely tough with you.
Mhm.
Because not only because I'm responsible for the results, but I'm also responsible for your upbeing, for developing my team.
Mhm.
And if I keep my eyes closed on, as I said, not the failure, but the low aim is a crime. If
Mhm.
somebody has low aim in his life because he's not putting the best effort, then this is my job to show him the way. As they say, the leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way, something like that. So
Yeah.
this is my responsibility. So generally, I'm a very easygoing leader. You achieve my deadlines, and my deadlines are pretty much known in advance.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
Let's everything is hunky dory. Let's call it a day. If you
Yeah.
want
That's
to have some relaxations, if you want to chill, relax in your off time or leisure time, fine. But if it's a deadline for the organization, because generally we are not working for any multinational or any national company. We are representing government of Pakistan. We are a regulator, so we can't afford slackness, because if we are going to go slow, then 300 plus the organizations that we are regulating, they will start taking it easy. So that's only thing I ask my guys, that you are expected to deliver, and that's it.
that's amazing. When you think of your journey, I'm from a small town in the U.S. in the state of South Carolina, and to think of what you did leaving there, getting that degree, going out into the world, and doing great things, and coming back as the top of the pyramid, that must be a heady experience to come back. And now, I mean, as a kid, you grew up, you knew what NEPRA was. I don't know what NEPRA was about at that time, but NEPRA was, and all the things they were trying to do, looking at it from afar. And then, years later, multi years later, you come back as the leader of that organization. That had to be a wow. And that's the kind of moment that your parents are sitting there in the audience, looking up and saying, "My son, my son."
I'm very unfortunate in that sense. Both my parents died
Yeah,
before I reached this position.
yeah,
I have five sisters, and all of them say exactly the same thing. How happy
oh,
our parents, especially our father, because he used to be a principal in a college, like the vice chancellor or something. So he would have been the happiest. Whatever growth he saw, he was extremely jubilant on that.
mm,
But where I reached today, he would have been on the moon, actually.
yeah,
But yeah, but anyhow, I'm quite sure he must be watching me from somewhere and must be feeling very pleased about it.
yeah. He's the both of them are saying, we did good, we did good. Look at that boy, what he's doing now. That's my thing. Because I
Great.
often think of that with my parents too, and I said I would love for them to just be sitting there looking, and I can, when you grow up, the look on your parents' face when they're proud of something, and so I think we all look at that as we climb the ladder or wherever our career is, whether it's being an entrepreneur or being an executive in an organization as you are. So, what is the most important lesson you've learned, leadership lesson you've learned over your careers? Because you've been in school, you've been in university a couple, two, three times. You have worked on jobs and private companies, entrepreneur, and now you're heading a governmental agency. So we talked about sales. What is an important leadership lesson you've learned over that trajectory?
Actually, life is full of lessons. Every single day you learn something new. But if you want me to tell you one golden leadership principle that I've learned over this long, almost 31 years plus, and I'm going to be 57 years of age on coming 20th February, actually. I believe relationships they matter the most, because people value contracts management a lot. I have never ever seen in my life a contracts getting failed. It is the people behind the contracts which make or break it. So when two countries fight, it is not the people are fighting with each other. It is two people.
Yeah.
Uh,
At the top.
their relationships going sour
Mhm.
on a personal level, which unfortunately results in wars.
Yeah.
So personalities do matter,
Mhm.
and not you cannot control the other person. You have a very limited control on few things, So relationship management, that doesn't mean that you have to bow before somebody. You don't have to compromise on your principles, but sometimes you have to show certain flexibility within the bounds of ethical standards and all that. I'm not at all suggesting that one should bend backwards or something, not at all. But you should be firm. You should be very, uh, balanced, I would say. Not too harsh in your, not very brass knuckled approach, don't become too brittle before things started breaking, actually, So this is what I believe is the key. May it be technology, may it be highly scientific thing, at the end of the day, it is people who manage it. At least, luckily, until today. Tomorrow, if the robots will start managing the world, then it
Yeah.
might be a altogether different ball game. But
Yeah.
somebody asked me this question. I went to a seminar. Somebody asked me this question. It was an artificial intelligence seminar. Somebody asked me, "Are you using artificial intelligence in NEPRA?" I said, "If I'll be lucky if I use the real intelligence in NEPRA." So because we are still managing, the human beings are still managing
Yeah.
all the stuff, actually, So it's
Yeah.
not the robots.
Yeah. Hasn't gotten there yet. So let's take a quick break and we'll come right back. Doing our commercial break, we'll come right back.
Identify and book the world's best speakers for your next event. MENA Speakers is the leading speakers and MC bureau in the Middle East. We bring global talent to the region and have established the region as a key global hub for speakers. Inspire and motivate your audience. Find exactly what you are looking for by working closely with us to assist you in understanding the cost-benefit analysis tied to selecting a speaker for any event. Ensure that your audience is educated, engaged, and empowered. Connect with us for a quick response and tailored advice. Book your speakers now.
Welcome back, folks. Let's talk about you walked us through your leadership journey as to how you have learned from things and you built your level, and as I say, at the top of the pyramid. What would you say were essential influences? We talked about your parents, people that made an imprint, or there was a leadership mantra that they lived by, and that stuck with you. Walk us through an example of that kind of exposure that you had with someone that still sticks to you today.
See, I would be unfair if I don't mention my father here. He
Okay.
was a principal in a college, top slot, and he used to ride a bicycle going 12 kilometers each side, so 24 kilometers up and down every single day. And even those days, most of the principals or people of his stature, they were traveling by cars. But we were six brothers and sisters. I was the only brother and five sisters. He spent all his earnings in educating us,
Okay.
so he could never construct his own house since even till his took his last breath. But all his investment was his six kids. Best education, all masters, best institutions. So he is definitely the strongest influence I have in my life. But I'm very lucky. From the onset, I got very good teachers. It will be unfair on my part. Every single teacher definitely inculcated something new. You know, if it's an inflated balloon that you are seeing today, everybody had his own little share to sort
Yeah.
of inflate this balloon. And personalities are nothing but basically a aura or a inflated balloon that you develop. Uh, but I had a boss in Pakistan and who coached me made me an offer in Abu Dhabi. So I worked with him in three projects, one in Pakistan and two in Abu Dhabi. He was a very strange character. He used to reach office at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he used to be the only person who would meet all the three shifts in the plant every single day. 4 o'clock, he would see the night shift, 7 o'clock, morning shift will come, and 4 o'clock, evening shift will come. So he is the only person who would see. And by the time we used to reach office by 8:30 was the office time, he would send the entire communication. In those days, most of the time it was paper based communication. By marking every damn thing, comma, full stop, hyphen, he would make his comment. So I've not seen anybody who had such a strong drafting. And in addition to his skills in drafting and being very meticulous and very detailed oriented, which I learned from him, uh, he was exceptional in managing people, the human to human relationships, interpersonal skills. He would do things which were simply not possible because he used to do his homework absolutely spick and span, up to the minutest details. And then he would go and meet people and convince them. So I learned a lot from him. That was the best, I would say, example I can quote. Um so these are few influences I have.
Yeah, you told me the story about your father. That's absolutely amazing. So when you think of that, the hard work he put in, but he was doing it for someone else. He wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it for his family. That type of commitment. In a lot of cases, you don't find people that would be that committed today.
One more influence that I think I should mention is was my eldest sister. Unfortunately, she died 3 4 years back. But she was the eldest, and I was almost the second youngest. Uh, Whenever we used to have a fight between the siblings, she would only say one thing: "Do you want to kill the fight, or you want to continue fighting?" And most of the time would say, okay, we would like to kill it, then kill it, don't even discuss it. So that golden principle I am following even for the most complicated disputes that I sort of try to resolve among our licensees or consumers and all that.
Yeah,
If you want to resolve the issue,
let's
please
resolve
come in the room with that mindset,
it. Yeah,
and then don't talk much. Walk the talk, give the action in the resolution of the issue. But if you want to continue fighting, please leave the room. Go and do it outside this place.
yeah. Take it someplace up because we don't need that.
Exactly.
Tauseef, thank you so much. I'm going to be in touch with you because we have a conference coming up in October, and I want to get on your calendar because I want you to lead a panel on power in the new dynamic kind of thing. But I'll send you information on that online. So thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you so much for introducing me to my new attire.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
I figured this was the first. I just had these made. I had two more made based on the one that you gave me. So thank you so much for expanding my global reach as it relates to attire. So thank you, man. I'll be in touch. Hang on for a minute as we close out.
Sure.